Hello, Midnight Strike here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the new album that drops tomorrow by Pop Evil that is entitled Onyx. So, Pop Evil, band formed in 2001 and have released two albums prior to this one, Lipstick on the Mirror and War of Angels. The first one, Lipstick on the Mirror, being a little bit on the generic side, whereas War of Angels is awesome. So, in my opinion at least. Last Man Standing was the first song that I heard by Pop Evil, and when I went to check them out, all I saw was Lipstick on the Mirror because it was 2010 before they had come out with the album. And on a side note, that album was delayed so many times I just gave up and eventually found it online again, so it was great. But I found the debut album and was a little bit underwhelmed because I thought it was kind of dated. It sounded very dated and it sounded very generic, as if this style had been done to death by artists before them, and done a little bit better to a certain extent. Although there are a few good songs, such as Shine Down 155, Breathe, Hey Mister, this album kind of falls flat a little bit, or at least Lipstick on the Mirror did. Now flash forward to 2013, few releases later, one release actually later, and we have Onyx. So, how does this album stack up to their discography? Does it compare to War of Angels, the almighty War of Angels, or does it fall behind to Lipstick on the Mirror? Well, short answer, yes and no. A little bit in the middle, a little bit of a mixed bag, as it is their most experimental album, and they take a lot of risks with it. I mean, like, they mix up their sound a lot. I could probably compare it to, I'm trying to think, like, Slang by Def Leppard, probably, where it has that sort of, the same generic, like, the same feel to it, the same general feel of, you know this is Def Leppard, or you know this is Pop Evil, but at the same time, they do add a little bit of techno into the mix, and try to mix it up with a few catchy beats, and some drum lines, and just an overall, like, arena-like, large, grand-scale production value. So, that's one thing I can say about this album, is the production is excellent. And a lot of the songs have just epic guitar work, such as in Fly Away. I love that intro. I've listened to this album a few times, and that's probably my favorite intro. So, catchiest songs on here are probably going to be Deal with the Devil, Trench, Divide, Behind Closed Doors, and what's Flawed is really good as well, which actually also closes the album. So, like I said, there's a lot of experimentation. There's a lot of experimentation and elements from, say, other bands, such as the singer actually starts to scream a little bit. Not so much to the point where it's like All That Remains, Up Here, or Kill Switch Engage, Bullet for My Valentine, Atreyu. Not like that. More like Chester Bennington of Linkin Park. And I say that in a good way because, there's been a lot of crap going around about Linkin Park lately, but you know what? It's like Hybrid Theory era Linkin Park, fused with maybe a little bit of techno, like beat kind of catchiness, and a little bit of probably Infest era Papa Roach, because he does rap a little bit, or at least kind of makes it sound like rap rock, and that's another thing. I mean, it kind of sounds like it's a little bit on the dated side, but at the same time, it is a very, very catchy album. I gotta say, mostly every song on this album appealed to me in some sort of way, with the exception of Sixth Sense. I can't really get into that song so much, but I will get to that a little bit later. In the meantime, the first song on this album, Goodbye My Friend, is probably the most straightforward rock song on the album, and while it does have a lot of the experimentation elements that I had mentioned prior, there's some new stuff in this song as well, as in the singer starts doing the Chester Bennington screams. That's actually the first thing that I noticed about it. I was like, whoa, he's actually screaming, which is really interesting. Deal with the Devil has the most grand scale production on this entire album. Just everything sounds like it's playing in an arena. You can definitely feel the power of the production, and pretty much in everything on this song. It sounds like you're sitting there in a concert, like watching a game, watching them play live, or even just being there. It's definitely something I could hear at a football game someday. So, and I say that in a good way. Trenches, this is actually one of the singles off the album. I'm unsure at this point if it was the first one, because I just found out about this album today. So, Trenches, this one is very catchy. It does a little bit of the rap rock stuff I was talking about, Not so much the rap rock in terms of Linkin Park's old stuff, but more in line with, as I said before, early Infest era Dead Cell, or Papa Roach. Dead Cell is one of the songs by them, but Papa Roach, yes, Papa Roach. Torn to Pieces, it's a slower song, a little bit of a ballad, and, you know, it was alright. It wasn't really my favorite. Divide is the next one. More of a harder song, more of a heavier song. He starts rapping a little bit, but it's catchy, so, you know, I gotta say, I don't really object to it. Beautiful, another ballad, or slowish song. Not really my type. Silence and Scars is another one for me. Like I said, Sixth Sense is another one. It's practically silent with a few drum beats thrown in the mix, and you know, if I could equate it to anything, I'd probably equate it to, you know, Linkin Park's newer stuff, or at least the newer stuff that I couldn't stand. Like off of Living Things, there were two songs that I could not stand on that album: Until It Breaks and Lies, Greed, and Misery. It kind of reminds me of that, as if they were trying to do something so radically different from their other material, and then they just revert back to everything. It's really a mixed bag, even on experimentation levels. It's just, they tried to throw so many influences into that one song that it just kind of convoluted it and weighed it down. So they kind of get back in the game a little bit about 3/4 of the way through the song. Then the guitars start blaring, then he starts singing a little bit. He starts, you know, bringing up the power, but by that point, you've already lost me. I don't want to go through 3/4 of just convoluted influences. There's really no other way to put it. Don't really like the song. Fly Away, definite. Love the intro. The guitar work is phenomenal, especially throughout the entire song, actually. I was going to say especially through the intro, but the intro is really good. You can definitely, it just feels very raw, is the best way to put it. So, Behind Closed Doors, this one's a good one. Another good one of my favorites. Welcome to Reality is another good one, and Flawed. I especially like Flawed because of just the instruments and the production value put into it, and it was a really good way to close the album, I must say. So, you know, overall, this is not the best Pop Evil album. If you really want the best Pop Evil album, check out their 2011 release, War of Angels, and it has a few of their most well-known songs on it: Last Man Standing, Boss's Daughter, Save the World, which was released on Facebook about a couple months before the album was released. So that one's their best. This one is, you know, it's an interesting album, I must say. It's not bad by any means, but it doesn't really break that line, as I put it, and soar above War of Angels. War of Angels was probably my all-time favorite by them, by Pop Evil. So overall, Onyx is a solid effort, but it really doesn't do anything in terms of being better than anything else that they've done. So I'm probably going to give this album 8 out of 10-ish. Good album. Got a few good songs, got a lot of good songs on it, actually, but, you know, over half the material just seemed filler or convoluted to me. So, most experimental album. So if you really want to see Pop Evil breach into new territory or start a new chapter genre-wise in their discography, this is the definite release for you, and I would highly recommend it if you are in the previously mentioned category. So, yeah, overall, 8.8, or 8, I almost said 8.5, 8 out of 10. Thank you very much for watching. This is Midnight Strike 3625. Keep calm and rock on.